Hello, welcome into the Kevin Durant News Network. Oh, wait, it's the PHNX Cardinals podcast presented by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, an official sports betting partner of the NFL and the NBA. Let's go Red Sea, Iluan 5. Welcome, everybody. I'm Johnny Venerable, joined by Mr. Frank Sanders.
Holla, holla, holla.
On a football Thursday of sorts. Frank, how are you and how was Four Peaks yesterday?
I apologize. I actually thought it was Friday. That's why I put TGIF, but apparently from yesterday's with Bo Brock, and Bo was on fire. Johnny, Bo had a tan that could rival a Puerto Rican without a doubt. The brother had a glow. He was excited. He was happy that he was
caramel
there.
skin. Yeah,
looking
fantastic.
I mean, he was looking delicious, man. Emma even shouted out in the chat one a little earlier, so it was pretty fire. Yesterday at the Four Peaks was great, man. I had a nice little hazy. But watch this here though. I thought like the last time we was there, I had a hazy P, and I went back for the hazy pride. That's what it's called. I call it hazy P. It was a hazy pride instead. And I went back, and my man was like, "Bro, that was just for promotional items, and it wasn't back on the menu." So I was smashing hazy all day yesterday. Me and LTC, Low Tone Capone. He chimed in a little bit. It was pretty fire yesterday.
Good deal. Well, I'm sorry I couldn't be there. We had COVID scare in my house. Everything's good to go now, and I hope you've hydrated. We've certainly been hydrating here in Casa de Venerable. And today, listen, we're not gonna tiptoe around what everybody wants to talk about. It's the pursuit of Kevin Durant, potentially the Phoenix Suns, and what that would mean to the Valley, what it would mean potentially the Arizona Cardinals, and everybody's viability here. So we're on Kevin Durant watch. And it got me thinking this morning, Frank. It got me thinking in my feels a little bit as it relates to star players and the recruitment of star players to Valley teams. And as it relates to the Arizona Cardinals, it has not been kind. We talked about a little bit off air. Cardinals for many, many years were thought of as the retirement community of the NFL. Once upon a time, Mr. Emmitt Smith, right? Yep. I think you can make that case with somebody like J.J. Watt.
Dave Craig. I mean,
Dave Craig.
I got here in 95. Dave Craig was in year 16. And
not
Boomer
exactly.
Esiason. Boomer Esiason, year 14.
Boomer Esiason. I mean, Carson Palmer was older. Kurt Warner was on his last legs. Yeah. So Kevin Durant potentially joining the Phoenix Suns would be unprecedented. And I was thinking back, this parallels one thing, in my opinion, and it was the Arizona Cardinals' pursuit of Peyton Manning in 2012.
Don't bring that up.
I remember this tweet. Peyton Manning's trip to Denver is expected to include many other visits, such as the Arizona Cardinals. And the Cardinals were just coming off an 8-8 season. They'd been to the Super Bowl with Ken Wisenhunt. They had Russ Grimm on the staff, people that Peyton Manning respected. And there was a 72-hour period where it looked like the Cardinals could conceivably get Peyton Manning. He did not pick the Cardinals. He ended up going to Denver, winning the MVP that next year, putting together a tremendous 3 or 4 year stretch, culminating in a Super Bowl victory. The Cardinals crashed and burned in 2012. They traded, I believe, for Kevin Cobb and went 5-11. Everybody got fired. That was a year before Bruce Arians would take over. What do you think would be bigger, Frank? Had the Cardinals gotten Peyton Manning, or if somehow the Phoenix Suns are able to pair Kevin Durant with Devin Booker in the Valley of the Sun?
Peyton Manning would have been the biggest desire over Kevin Durant. And the only reason why I say this is because you need a quarterback, and at that moment we needed a quarterback of that caliber. That would have been absolutely a gem in the hat of Michael Bidwill taking over the Arizona Cardinals, and of course having an opportunity to push themselves at a higher level in the conversation of top-tier quarterbacks. And once you got a top-tier quarterback, you know that the TV ratings are coming. And Peyton Manning at that time, of course, he had a neck injury, but that wasn't enough to stop him. Whereas you could have brought in somebody that you knew. Look, Peyton Manning in 4 years took Denver Broncos to the Super Bowl and absolutely won it versus the Carolina Panthers. He would have been he'd have been the caveat, man, to everything else. Matching him versus Kevin Durant and Devin and D Book, that's cute to say. But you still got other players you got to play with, and everyone else has top-tier players. But if you have a top-tier quarterback in the NFL, you know for a fact of that caliber, your chances are that much better in regards to winning a Super Bowl compared to winning the basketball trophy championship, whatever that is called.
Well, I think it kind of parallels. Manning was always kind of second fiddle to Brady, and Durant's kind of been second fiddle to LeBron.
Okay,
and I do think that Manning was a bigger global brand or national brand with all of his TV commercials, his endorsements. Durant, to me, I think is a better player right now. I think he is the best player in the NBA with respect to LeBron and Giannis and some of these other guys. Steph Curry.
I don't know why y'all keep saying that, though. I just don't. I know you're about to get on a little tiff. Just dive in a little bit, though.
Kevin, if the Phoenix Suns get Kevin Durant,
I don't see it. Why would you pay? Why would you pay Devin Booker 41 max deal of $214 million? Max him win? Out to get a Kevin Durant to do the exact same thing. That's just, I just don't see. You got two shooters that are the exact same thing. I'm not saying that the Golden State Warriors haven't proven that to be a formula.
Wing players win in the NBA. Just like if you played in today's NFL, Mr. Frank Sanders, you'd be making Christian Kirk money or more, and rightfully so, because receivers win in the NFL today. We love DeAndre Ayton, but DeAndre Ayton plays the running back position of the NFL, of the NBA, I should say. Centers and running backs. You don't pay him. You shouldn't draft him high. Kevin Durant is the best player in the world. If the Phoenix Suns get Kevin Durant, it's the biggest acquisition in I don't even know what to compare it to. Let's hear some people in the chat talk about what do you think it's even comparable to if they were able to pull it off. And then here's another scenario that I pulled up on the old Twitterverse today. It's not in the same realm as Peyton Manning, but it hits just as deep because you've seen the infrastructure he created. How about this tweet? The very next offseason, after being spurned by Peyton Manning, Adam Schefter, one league source, said it's 95% certain that former Eagles head coach Andy Reid will end up coaching the Arizona Cardinals. That one cut so deep because of the fact that he has the highest winning percentage outside of Bill Belichick. He makes Alex Smith into a very competitive quarterback. He has the infrastructure to get somebody like Patrick Mahomes. He's in the AFC Championship game every year. That to me hurt more because I thought that was a done deal, and it sounded like people thought it was a done deal at the time. I remember the Kansas City Chiefs, rightfully so, and this is how dirty sports is, and you know this, Frank. You played the highest level. The Cardinals were next in line to talk to Andy Reid, and they would not let Andy Reid get to the airport to take his private jet to meet Michael Bidwell and company. And it was presumed that once he got to Arizona, they were going to work out a contract. And the Chiefs it's the sidestep move. You've seen some dudes
they
do it at the bar. We've all been sidestepped at the bar once upon a time.
At least once upon a time.
So I just hope, Frank, that this doesn't happen with Kevin Durant. But do you remember when the Cardinals were supposedly going to get Andy Reid and it didn't happen?
I do, and I thought that would have been a great decision by Michael Bidwell. And I thought Andy Reid would have been a great moment for Andy Reid to come here. Guess what, man? That's the when you're negotiating on the backside or behind closed doors, somebody offers you something that's a little bit better, and the opportunity that's there, you tend to take that. Yeah. This is the same reason why I think when I look back at the Suns historically and the Cardinals historically, like you said before or earlier in the conversation, was that the Cardinals typically go out and get older players on their last leg. And unfortunately, or I'll say fortunately, some of those things have definitely panned out to be pretty good. Kurt Warner was pretty fucking, that was a good decision. I don't know who made it, but that was a great goddamn decision. But to turn down Peyton Manning, I thought that in itself, I don't know what we didn't offer to Peyton Manning that I would have offered. I would have offered Peyton. I just showed up to the
I think they were offering anything. I think Rod Graves
45. I just showed him $32 million in cash on the table when he walked in the room. This show money, and we got a house key with a car outside and a Maybach. Make a good decision.
Kevin Durant comes to Phoenix. He is number one, unquestioned number one, but he's got a 1A in Devin Booker. Peyton Manning were to come to the Arizona Cardinals in 2012. He respected Ken Wisenhunt. The infrastructure would have been around offense. They would have drafted offense and pass rushers. They would have tried to duplicate exactly what they did in Indianapolis. And it was reported that after everything went down with Peyton going to Denver, that the Cardinals were a close second. And I think that if this happens with Kevin Durant, again, I don't want to throw a wet blanket on all of this, but I mean, at the end of the day, I'm trying to think back to what was the last marquee, big time, prime free agent that came here in the peak of his powers or her powers, right? I can't think of anybody for the Diamondbacks. Certainly the Cardinals, the JJ Watt thing was fun last offseason, but I mean, he signed a 2-year deal. He was in his early 30s, right? It's not like it was JJ Watt at 25 or 26. We were spurned by Peyton Manning. We've been spurred by Andy Reid. I mean, what this would do, I think, and people are like, why are you talking about Kevin Durant on a Cardinal podcast? What this would do if Kevin Durant chose to come here and spend the next half decade potentially in Phoenix, and what that would do for the city and the economy in the city, right, which is already booming, I think it would have a ripple down effect for all of Phoenix sports, all of Arizona sports, and the Cardinals would benefit from it. We have seen what has happened with LA. When LeBron went to LA, it was kind of a snowball effect. Sean McVay and company, what they've done, the LA Dodgers, it's gravitatized that market that was kind of dead for a while after USC football fell off. If the Phoenix Suns can get Kevin Durant, everybody opens their eyes to not only this is a destination place, live in Scottsdale, live in Paradise Valley, whatever, beautiful weather, 10 months out of the year. But also these organizations, they know what they're doing. They're competitive. They're in the playoffs every year. They've got good people involved. Say what you want about Steve Keim and Cliff Kingsbury. They win more games than they lose. So I just think, and somebody, Elon Fives, Hopkins, I think the Hopkins trade and extension is one of the closest things to this that I've seen. But Cardinals didn't have to go out and court Hopkins. They were gifted him by Bill O'Brien, but he did sign an extension with them. He opted to stay here. But I just think Frank Sanders, it would have a monumental effect on the Valley and the Cardinals if Kevin Durant did come here.
What I do know, no, I don't think you're crazy, but what I do know is the same thing. We go back to the Diamondbacks, and we brought your boy Randy Johnson in. We also had a great picture in your boy. We added a team for the Diamondbacks and it was a one and done team, and they won the championship. They won the World Series. If the Cardinals can pull off, if the Suns can do something of that magnitude and bring in a Kevin Durant, then that would be absolutely amazing for the Suns, and hopefully that would be a one and done season. You went over the board a little bit when you said a half a decade. I can't see Kevin Durant being anywhere 4 and 5 years. He'll give you 2 and 3, maybe. He'll give us 2 and a 2 to win the championship. Once he wins the championship, I think he's looking for his next big deal and his max deal. Apparently, that's a new thing right now, JV, where the guys can say outside a 5-year contract, and then at the back end of it, I'll say, you know what? After 3, I'm kind of done of being in your city. I want to go someplace else.
I had an argument earlier today with I think it was my counterpart Shane Diefenbach on Bets this morning about I do think that similar to what Kyler Murray is facing, you win one championship in Phoenix, that's star for a championship
forever. You're a star forever.
Correct. Whereas if he goes to Miami or someplace like that, that's always competitive, that's always in the championship picture. They haven't won one since LeBron left, but they were in the finals, right? They won one with Shaq and D-Wade. They've been to many, many championship games and have won many titles. And he already did that. He already kind of tainted his legacy a little bit with Golden State and ring chasing. You go and win one singular championship, whether it's this year or next year, if they are able to get Kevin Durant, it's the same thing. Kyler Murray wins the Super Bowl with the Arizona Cardinals. He doesn't have to do jack shit for the rest of his career. Very similar. Joe Flacco is ingratiated in Baltimore. He was absolutely abysmal after he won the Super Bowl. It doesn't matter, right? Nick Foles in Philadelphia, and Kevin Durant's on a different stratosphere than those guys. To me, I wonder if Kevin Durant can say, I can go to the Valley where they are starved for a title, and I can do something that will separate me from other people and maybe get Charles Barkley off my back.
I mean, I think the conversation and the argument becomes, especially with a guy of Kevin Durant's talent, you always say these things. You say, well, why won't you be the guy that take the catalyst and you be the guy that actually, and Charles has been using this term, why are you not the bus driver? Why do you always want to be a passenger on the bus and then allow yourself to be a part of something that actually comes up with a championship? Why don't you be the bus driver where you're driving the bus, you build a team around you, and those guys become the catalyst? As a person being in Arizona, I'm not a Suns fan, so I apologize for that, guys. I have love for the Suns in regards to being here that length of time. I've been 25 plus years, so I should be a Suns fan, but I'm not. And the only reason why is because just like everything else in the Valley, they always give us this BS and these players that does not absolutely. We catch them on the back end of their years. We talked about JJ Watt. We talk about, and we got a list of guys we can continually talk about. And then like the Suns right now, DeAndre Ayton is a beast. He's a young little beast, but you're not using him to be the beast. Why? Because you got your money in Chris Paul, you got your money in Devin Booker, and you don't have your money in DeAndre Ayton. He hasn't even been paid when the guy should have been paid as a first-round draft pick, and he's done nothing wrong not to deserve top-tier money. But yet we're going to talk about
plays the wrong position. Can we just be on? And he did not have a good playoff series.
There's no wrong position when you're 7'2" and you can be dominant. The idea is that everyone wants to see 3-pointers, and you want your big man to shoot 3-pointers. Shit, look at your boy over in Milwaukee, the Greek Freak. He's shooting 3-pointers now. That's freaking stupid, crazy.
I like listen.
When he can be a beast.
Real quick,
I'll listen.
I like DeAndre Ayton. It's the same.
Thank
it's
you.
the same thing when the Cardinals traded Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie and a second-round pick for Kevin Cobb. I like Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, but the idea of getting a franchise quarterback superseded my love for a corner. I love DeAndre Ayton, but if you can get Kevin Durant, goodbye. No, I'll go play Supermax basketball on a team that wins 25 games a year. That, like, at the end of the day, if DeAndre Ayton was prioritized, he would not have been in trade discussions over the past several months. Supposedly this organization is sounds like they're done with him regardless. I would not give him away for nothing. I wouldn't trade him away for scraps. Kevin Durant is the only player of note that I can think of outside of like an elite perimeter player that I would trade him for. And it sounds like if Kevin Durant is acquired, DA is going to be gone, either to Brooklyn or a 3-team trade. So I don't buy into the people. Here's another interesting point that I want to try to make. I don't buy into the people who says we can't just have KD, CP3, and Devin Booker. The hell you can't. This league is built on super teams where you fill out the rest of your roster with a bunch of C-level players coming to play with championship stars. We saw it last year. And there's a player that just tweeted out a picture of he and Devin Booker that I'm trying to get a graphic, man. I think David's working on it for us. He is. Who is the player, Mr. Frank Sanders, that you loved that was released during the season that chose to ring chase to go to a place that everybody wanted to play? It was Mr. Odell Beckham Jr. because he said, I love LA. LA's where the party's at. I want to experience that. You're going to get that same effect if the Phoenix Suns get Kevin Durant. If it's Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and a bunch of, G League players, a bunch of guys playing in the G League or whatever it's called now, developmental league, you're going to get a bunch of veteran players that say, I'm going to go play in Phoenix and do something special there. And that's what Odell Beckham did last year. He said, I'm an elite player, but I have options. I'm going to go be a hired mercenary for half a season. And they won the Super Bowl because of Odell Beckham, in part.
The idea was that they told Odell he had an opportunity to go to Green Bay, and he chose not to. If you got a chance between Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers, and you got a chance between L.A. and Matthew Stafford, where you're going to choose to be maybe a second option because you already know you got Cooper Kupp here, and over there you got Devontae Adams. But why would you be in a cold place? Screw that. I'm going to be somewhere where it's warm, and I got all my friends. That's right. But again,
and I think worked.
But it worked out in his favor, though, JV. You talking about Super Bowl champ Odell Beckham. Not like it didn't work out for him, Odell Beckham. It worked out. Kevin Durant comes here, and we get a championship that works out. It's great. I do think that we're cheating ourselves by getting rid of a young talent. And the same thing the Arizona Cardinals did just recently. We just got rid of Chase Edmonds, a second-round draft pick. We peed on. We got rid of him, and he's in Miami right now. Fourth round. I'm fucking pissed. I'm sorry. I apologize, Sly, for my language. I apologize.
All right. Finish up your train of thought.
But
I want to get
this is some bullshit, man. Think about it. This is some BS, man. We let go another young guy, another young talent, and Christian Kirk. We let go him. It's a consistent barrage of what the Cardinals doing. If the Suns do the exact same thing, then what are we building? DeAndre Ayton has done nothing
to trying to win a championship.
Again, apparently we're not. Because we brought in J.J. Watt, and we kept him for 2 years. We kept him again, and we let go a number one sack leader forever. It's the shenanigans, bro. We let go Joe Johnson, who didn't. I can do this all day long.
All right. Well, before you do that, I want to remind everyone.
Well, is DraftKings is like right now? You doing DraftKings?
I am. Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you. You can go bet on Kevin Durant's live odds to become a Phoenix Sun. I've been tweeting the live odds out all day. Right now, let's see here. No, they took it down because they probably lose money off of it, or you won't. It's not worth it to you. But earlier today, you could get Kevin Durant at minus 105, then minus 225 to become a member of the Phoenix Suns. It's off of DraftKings now, which is low-key hilarious because I do think the Suns are the prohibitive favorite, and DraftKings will tell you that. And speaking of DraftKings, there's tons of ways to come out on top in the octagon. We've got UFC 276. We got a preview show of the event tomorrow, PHNX Bets Daily Podcast tomorrow at noon with the DraftKings Sportsbook app, the official sports betting partner of the UFC. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use that promo code PHNX, bet $5 on any UFC 276 fighter, and get $100 in free bets no matter what. That's PHNX, promo code this Saturday on DraftKings, the official sports betting partner of UFC. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. And again, we talked about it. I missed out yesterday. I'm sad that I missed out at the party at Four Peaks 8th Street Pub all day yesterday. The good news is we'll be back. I'll be back. We're going to have a good time hanging out in Tempe with the fine folks at Four Peaks. Come and do it with us. And in the meantime, go pick yourself up they got a 12-pack. They got variety packs. So many good options with Four Peaks, the official brewing partner, PHNX. Must be 21 and older. Enjoy responsibly. We'll get to some of these comments here. The NFL is starting to be like an NBA, though it is. I would agree with that. Someone gets paid, and the next up has to reset the market. NFL players starting to just be as greedy as NBA players. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, the NFL players have more on the line because they're playing a more violent sport. PHNX won't post my stuff, treating me like a stepchild. What's going on here, brother Numsy? I'll talk to you right now. Return of the Mac, JVZ, Sensei Sanders. What's up, fam? What's the good word, my man? Happy Thursday as we continue our pursuit of a superstar player to come to the desert. Hopefully it's Kevin Durant. Eloan 5, Miami Heat, probably the last super team to win. I would say the Golden State Warriors and the Cavs were both super teams with everybody in Golden State plus Kevin Durant, then LeBron, Kyrie, and Kevin Love. That was a team that was a super team. I'm all for the Phoenix Suns, quote unquote, selling their soul for Kevin Durant to win a championship. This city, the Valley, needs a title. I've been very envious of what's going on with DMVR and the Avalanche winning their championship. Kudos to them. Congratulations. I desperately want my Cardinals to win, but in the NFL, you're not a player away, Frank Sanders, unless it's a quarterback, from being a contender. We've seen that now with the Denver Broncos getting Russell Wilson. There's no one competent player outside a quarterback that the Cardinals could get that would have a Kevin Durant type of impact like the Phoenix Suns could be in the process of making happen.
Not so fast, my friend. I think what you was talking about earlier, if we'd have got Peyton Manning, I think that would have been a catalyst to the one person we needed that could have elevated this Cardinals organization to a championship, which he absolutely did over and. I mean, you're talking about Peyton Manning with Larry Legend. So we thought that he could have been. And then we also had, what's your boy name? Darnell Dockett back in the days of that timeline. That would have been a hell of a defense with a Peyton Manning. He would have been the catalyst. So he could have been that person. Unfortunately, we didn't go that route. We ended up getting CP the following year. After that, he played about 6 games. And then a couple of years later, of course, that he did what he was supposed to do. That's why he's in the Ring of Honor over at State Farm Stadium, which is a special thing. I will say this here, though. I'm not a fan of the fact that we're bringing Kevin Durant here. I think it takes away the shine away
not
from.
Not officially, but yes, go ahead.
I say this respectfully. I say I'm not a fan of KD coming here because I think that Devin Booker had earned the right to be the number 1 player. He earned the right to be the number 1 guy for the Arizona Cardinals. For the Phoenix Suns. We're talking about giving him a max contract to make him one of the top tier players. He's earned that right. So why won't he be the guy that we would hope that's always taking the shot at the end of the game? He is supposed to have Mamba mentality. He had no mentality at this past postseason, and that goes for all those guys in regards to when it came to the playoffs. That's CP, that's your boy Miguel Bridges, that's Cameron Johnson. None of those guys showed up in that regard. So
you can make the same comment though about the Arizona Cardinals. They didn't show up in the playoffs. They didn't show up at the end of the year, and the Cardinals didn't make wholesale changes. This is, a lot of people would argue this is a worse team than last year.
And again, so that's the part that says there's somebody else on the other side playing basketball. So just bringing Kevin Durant doesn't automatically guarantee a championship. I'm not saying that's not the case. It gives us a good chance of a championship because this team definitely has grown by leaps and bounds by just having a CP3, bringing in a core of players that we thought when it comes to the Suns, they added. And this is what we're talking about with a great head coach, coaching a bunch of players and getting these guys to buy into the system. That's exactly what the Suns did. They have in leaps and bounds over the last 3 years. CP3, Devin Booker.
They built it organically after, other than CP3. Sly brings up a good question. I think it's kind of comparable. So would you trade Kyler Murray for Aaron Rodgers? Kyler acting kind of like the DeAndre Ayton in this scenario, even not apples to oranges. And Rodgers is very much a Durant, polarizing, but an elite player, maybe the top of his game. I would not make that trade in the NFL because there are too many question marks with Rodgers potentially retiring. If I got assurance from Rodgers that he was going to play another 4 or 5 years, I would probably make that trade. But like Kevin Durant is, Kevin Durant's 33 years old.
You would, JV. Let me just
say, I wouldn't make that trade.
You would
for Rodgers
a championship. If you
Aaron Rodgers can't win a championship with the Green Bay Packers.
He can't do it with Green Bay. Don't mean he can't do it with
which is a better run franchise in the Arizona Cardinals.
Doesn't mean he can. Ooh, watch your mouth.
That's not a hot take. Anybody watching professional football, the Green Bay Packers are a better run franchise than the Cardinals. The Cardinals have done more splash.
Watch your mouth when you say that. You watch your mouth.
I don't want to sell off my franchise quarterback in Kyler Murray for a one and done Aaron Rodgers who stinks in the playoffs since he's under 500 since he won his Super Bowl. Jordan Ellsworth in the chat. I don't disagree with that. He should have gone to Denver. Devin Booker earned the right to have an amazing team to play with. KD makes the team better, allows Book to have less of a focus from opponents. I agree. And I think
I don't agree with that though when you're making $41 to $47 million. You are the man. Fucking take the goddamn heat and ride the tourniquet.
I do think
that. Why we keep giving guys
being number one here?
Why we keep giving guys passes when you're getting the money? You got the money because you're the dude. Stop acting like you need another dude to take away the pressure from you being the dude. You're the dude. Jordan made $30 million and he never relinquished the title. That's the sham.
Well,
this conversation.
Let's not compare people to Michael Jordan.
I got to because it's the money. I'm saying we were going back to the point. Like fucking Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback ever. He makes less than the rest of these slap dicks, and he got 6 championship rings. Hello, this is crazy. Like, you
can make that argument with Aaron Rodgers being paid too much and not sacrificing. The NBA though, I mean, like, unless we're talking about Kobe in his last couple of years when he made the most money he could, and the rest of the team was terrible. I think Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and Kevin Durant wins your championship next year. That's my opinion.
Let me tell you something. It gives us the idea that we would win the championship. We still haven't forgot Golden State. Golden State's still a goddamn beast. Kevin Durant went there and he won. I'm not JV. I know you want to be positive. I get that. Look, folks.
Well, no, I started the show off by saying the Cardinals, the Valley has never recruited a prime star in recent memory. So I want this to kind of be the breaking of that curse because we're used to, the elderly folks coming and playing for our sports team. So all right. Either one's getting upset. We're not talking about Cardinals and we're talking about Suns. We're trying to be realistic here with everything that's going on with Kevin Durant. This is speaking of interesting, you guys see this on Twitter moments ago. This is football related. Odell Beckham tweeting out kinfolk himself in a Suns jersey with Devin Booker. I think we have some momentum here. Let's get everybody to Valley. This is what I'm talking about. When the Suns are in the news for Kevin Durant, it has a trickle-down effect to the Cardinals, has a trickle-down effect to the other sports, the major sports, the NFL specifically. I cannot overemphasize what this would do for the other sports teams if Kevin Durant came to the Phoenix Suns. I honestly believe that. I think he and LeBron are like the only two players in their prime that can have that effect on the other sports, on the economy, on the community. And Kevin has been rotting up in Brooklyn. You let him come here in a flourishing sports market with a playoff NFL team and a championship contending basketball team and a young hotshot quarterback in Arizona. To me, I think we're gonna see some parallels here. And I think this Kevin Durant thing could be getting the ball rolling, similar to when LeBron went to LA and all the stars followed. I mean, say what you want. and they paid him a lot. But J.J. Watt came here last year in the midst of a very intense free agency pursuit. I think we could see Arizona quickly becoming the hot spot, no pun intended, that we all believe it can be. This is according to Josh Hunt in the chat. Facts. If we're paying Murray to be the guy, then we're expecting him to play like the guy. He has the biggest influence on wins. Josh agreeing with Frank.
Yes.
KD won't go to Phoenix, according to Brother Numsy. PHNX don't let go of Booker, so the trade won't happen. Well, supposedly, based on everything we're hearing, Numsy, that there cannot be a trade for Devin Booker, including KD. That's not, I mean, why would KD come here without Devin Booker? Eloan 5, Kyler stays healthy. He's worth every penny. There's no question about that. Well, I had started the show today, Eloan. I was putting together the rundown before this Kevin Durant shit broke, and I was going to have Frank and I predict if Kyler Murray stays healthy for 17 games, what does Kyler Murray's 17-game statistical season look like? So Frank Sanders, I'm gonna put you on the spot. We get full 17 weeks of Kyler Murray next year. Do you have an idea? You want me to go first? You're putting together some numbers there, because I have my answer ready to go.
All right, if you're ready to go, you can go ahead.
But
right. I just jumped on it. I'm ready.
Okay.
I don't think long, brother. Go ahead.
All right. I think if Kyler Murray plays 17 games next year, well, number one, I think he's breaking almost every quarterback touchdown record that the Cardinals have. I think we are getting something to the effect of 4,300 yards passing, 800 yards rushing. So you're getting 5,000 from scrimmage, and I think you could get close to 50 touchdowns. I'm going to be conservative. I'm going to go 45 touchdowns. So that's 4,300 yards passing, 800 yards rushing, 45 touchdowns would put him squarely in the MVP conversation, which I believe Kyler Murray has the potential to do with the weapons that the Cardinals have. His only question for me is durability. So Frank Sanders, with that being said, Kyler Murray, 17 games. What does his statistical season look like?
42 touchdowns, 15 interceptions.
Okay.
4,780 yards, which might put him past the greatest passing. He'd break Carson Palmer's record. Excuse me, guys, of 4,600 yards passing. I think that 534 yards rushing, to be exact. 534 yards rushing, to be exact. Unfortunately, this season is bad. Sly, I'm with you. Sly got 6-11. I got us at 7-10. Sly with that record. Yes.
There's no way in hell. If Kyler Murray plays 17 games, the Cardinals are a playoff team. I'm sorry. He just is.
Sly 6-11 with you, Sly. With this schedule, Sly.
I may or may not have been up late last night watching Kyler Murray highlights, especially from the first half of the season. Go watch what he embarrassed Tennessee in week 1. He embarrassed Tennessee with an old AJ Green and Christian Kirk. I love Christian Kirk. Kyler Murray got Christian Kirk a lot of money. Now he gets Hollywood Brown, who's an upgrade. Rondell Moore in year 2, horizontal passing game. You got a young stud tight end. I don't need the sarcasm clap there. What I do need, though, is some OGs. OGs just launched their first ever limited edition seasonal flavor, Pina Colada, perfect pineapple and creamy coconut blend.
Delicious.
Just in time. Frank knows about the OGs for those summer road trips and pool parties. Maybe don't take an OG and then drive your car.
No, don't. Please don't. You will be night. You need to get
just for good hang like we had last week at the Maya Day Club in Scottsdale. It was fantastic. We're going to have more get-togethers with OGs this summer, so be sure to make it out. Check out OGs online at ogbrands.com and on Instagram at ogbrands. You can also find their products at your local dispensary. You do have to be 21 or older to purchase. And speaking of parties, speaking of good time, take it from me, COVID-19 vaccines are critical for you and your family to stay healthy. They're also free for everybody 5 and up. We want to party with you. We want to have a good time. Hell, I want to celebrate this Kevin Durant news when and if it happens. Let's have a get-together, but I would appreciate if nobody coughed on me. So those 12 and older are eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine booster. Visit azhealth.gov/find-vaccine for a location nearest to you. Matthew Burgess in the comments, Mr. Frank Sanders, K1 Hollywood, going to make magic happen in Arizona. I agree with that, and I think
1,800 yards worth it.
I think 1,300 yards is my official prediction. I'm with Hollywood Brown. I think he will eat, especially without Hopkins in the lineup. I think Kyler Murray is going to force feed him the football, even with the uncertainty with the defense. And listen, guys, the defense could be bad this year, or it could be below average. The offensive line could be hit or miss. I think the one guy who's going to get his and be the best offseason acquisition is Hollywood Brown. I think he's just everybody can say what they want about the Cardinals. They don't draft well. The inside linebackers are disappointing. They didn't replace Chandler Jones. Rodney Hudson retired. Blah 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 blah. But they're going to say, hey, that move for Hollywood Brown that we all shit on during the draft, the Cardinals, that was a pretty good deal. He's a good player. They made the right decision there. I think we're going to have people are going to be having that conversation November, December next year.
Look, I agree with you, Johnny, on that. Look, you can't deny the fact that Hollywood Brown is definitely a stud, but not just a stud, a young stud that's coming up in the ranks of easily 1,300 yards receiving without a doubt. He could definitely be one of the guys that if he had a full season with Kyler Murray, could potentially break the record of whatever was set, 15 touchdowns by Sonny Randall back in the days in 1960. That's definitely on the table. I mean, just him and what Kyler has and their magic together could be pretty special. So I would love to see that happen with this offense. Our defense, look, sometimes when Peyton was in Indianapolis, we can't forget Peyton had to score 33 points, averaging 33 points a game in order to win with that defense. And that just was a basic cover 2 defense. They ran a 4-3 cover 2 defense, or the Tampa 2 back then under Tony Dungy at that time. And those guys were not great, but Peyton knew he had to score at least 33 points in order to be effective. Kyler, I agree with you, Johnny, when we talk about if a Kyler stays healthy 17 weeks, we might differ or disagree in regards to the particular schedule, what our season's total will be in regards to wins and losses. Yeah. But when we look at what our quarterback has the potential to do, I definitely think this could be a record-breaking season for him with the players that he has. Again, our only real 100% nemesis, or I'm not going to say nemesis, but our question mark in this conversation is what's the growth of our coach? How did Cliff Kingsbury change from, being a first half coach to a second half coach? And can he just be 17-week coach and not just maybe a 10-game coach? That's the catalyst to determining how far any of our players go in regards to stat wise. But what we look like as a team, that's the most important part. He's the only question mark right now, JV, that I have. We haven't yet seen what he will do. And that's the only to be seen during the season based upon the chess match between two coaches going against each other. A defensive coordinator on the other side versus the offensive coordinator. And that's our head coach, Cliff Kingsbury. And what is he doing with his players to put those guys in the right spot to be absolutely effective and to dominate offensively?
And I think part of the reason Kevin Durant's considering the Phoenix Suns is you got Monty Williams, who's winning Coach of the Year and getting his team to NBA Finals and deep into the postseason. Cliff Kingsbury, I think the biggest compliment I can give him is that he's improved every year and he's a player coach. Zach Ertz loves playing for him because of how easygoing he is, and I think he's bright. I think he works hard, but fortunately for him, I've talked about this many times. You listen to the show. He's in a division that's an absolute gauntlet with other head coaches, two of which I think will be in the Hall of Fame, and Sean McVay and Pete Carroll, and then Kyle Shanahan, who's the real deal. I mean, he's been to a Super Bowl, was in the NFC title game last year. I think if Cliff Kingsbury is in the NFC East, we're having a completely different conversation, but he's not. And I think, at the end of the day, you're right. It's Kyler and Cliff that will dictate how this team ends up, if they will end up in postseason football and beyond. I want to remind everybody, be sure to like, subscribe, leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. We will continue KD2AZ watch, not only this weekend, but into next week, potentially. Also, I want to remind everybody, I believe PHNX Suns is going live later this evening for some more free agency hoopla. They do a tremendous job. Espo, Gerald, Lindsay, check them out. Check us out every day here at 4 p.m. PHNX Cardinals podcast. You got me thinking, Frank, it's going to be tomorrow's Saturday. Tomorrow's actually Friday. We've got an audio-only podcast dropping. I think you guys should check out. My buddy Shane and I go around the NFC West. Leave us a 5-star review. Check out gophnx.com. Pick up some gear. I would love to check out the PHNX merchandise locker in, say, maybe 3 weeks' time and see a nice, big Phoenix Sun themed shirt, maybe honoring a certain number 35 that makes his way to the desert. We had Aeneas Williams once upon a time wearing number 35.
HOF.
That's why I wore 35 in high school. Maybe we get one more to the desert in Kevin Durant.
What? Hold up. You wore number 35 for Aeneas Williams?
I did.
You wore 35 for Aeneas
My
Williams?
5'6" frame filled it out well. I played running back. Aeneas Williams, 35, one of my favorite players.
What?
Josh,
I didn't know that. What?
I'm pretty sure I told Aeneas that when he was on our program. Shameless plug. Aeneas Williams, Hall of Famer, friend of the show. Go check out that episode. Check out this show every day at 4 p.m. Yeah, this has been fun, guys. Thanks for hanging there with us. We'll be back on Monday with another live show. Take care. Bye-bye.